birthday, Steph. Happy birthday, Steph. Happy birthday, Steph. Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Happy birthday, Stephanie. Happy birthday, Steph. Happy birthday, Steph.
Happy birthday, Steph.
Hey, Steph. Happy birthday. Even though you're not doing the show live, happy birthday anyway. I hope it's a good one.
Happy birthday, Steph. I love you. You're the best girlfriend in the world, and you're stuck with me till the day you die.
Good morning, Spelman. It's Friday, February 18th, 2022, day 7.
On today's show, we speak with some of the winners of this year's Movie Monolog competition. Stephanie Brown is back with sports.
And Isabella Gonzalez has your weekend weather forecast.
I'm Jayme-Madison Reddick.
And I'm Makayla Fredericks. We're your pilots, and this is your morning flight.
Get ready to take flight, pilots.
On today's segment of What's It All About, Deacon John explains what Mardi Gras means to Catholics.
Welcome back to this week's episode of What's It All About. Hey Deacon John, so what's Mardi Gras all about?
Mardi Gras, also known as Fat Tuesday in English, has been celebrated from many cultures and all over the world. Do you know it's celebrated all the way up until the beginning of Lent? And Mardi Gras actually culminates, with this Fat Tuesday or the day before Lent. And the two big famous Mardi Gras or carnivals are in Mardi Gras in New Orleans and Carnival in Rio de Janeiro. But it goes way back before then. Even in France, people used to feast on foods on this last Tuesday before Ash Wednesday, the first day of Lent, because they were going to stock up on what they were going to be giving up for Lent, so they wouldn't miss it too much. And this festival is really very, very Catholic, because the whole idea is that during Lent we want to We want to cut down and not overindulge. That's the whole idea. But before we think straight about Lent, okay? Because Lent is a season of self-sacrifice. It is a season of repentance. But it is not meant to be a season or a period of time of self-punishment or extreme hardship. That's not what Lent is all about. Lent is a journey with daily devotions. And in these devotions, we have these small acts that reinforce our faith. That's what it's all about. So we Catholics choose to live Lent and not sacrifice during Lent. Lent is a journey to inspire us, not to abuse us. And Mardi Gras just marks that first day of Lent, that first day of the journey. Did you know that Mardi Gras actually begins after the Epiphany on January 6th, or the 12th day of Christmas? You know that we did that one already. All the way up until that Tuesday before Ash Wednesday. Did you know that in Brazil, this big celebration is the actual, not only the official start of Lent, but it's so famous as Carnival that people make reservations 2 or 3 years in advance in order to go. Did you know that the theory that Mardi Gras originated from an ancient pagan celebration is a bunch of hooey? That's not how it happened, okay? Actually, the church reformers, those advocates, those revolutionaries, church reformers, yes, during the Catholic Revolt, the Catholic Reformation, these reformers actually put into people's minds this idea that it was about a pagan ritual in order to, again, bring into question the Catholic Church leadership. Did you know that Mardi Gras was celebrated for the first time in the United States in 1699, about 60 miles or so from present-day New Orleans? Did you know that the Spanish, when they were in control of the area of Louisiana from 1762 to 1800s, tried to stop Mardi Gras? And then when the United States bought it, the United States government tried to stop Mardi Gras, but you can't stop a good party, I guess, because it kept on going. It kept on going. So the streets of New Orleans officially became the place of Mardi Gras in 1837, and it's continued on. Did you know that in 1872, these exclusive groups of of male white clubs. One was called the Rex, and the other one was called the Knights of Mormus. They tried to take over Mardi Gras. They wanted to have very exclusive hoity-toity parties and parades. So that's what they did. But guess what? Everybody else, all the women, all the people of color, all the poor people, they just made their own clubs and started their own parades. So it still went on. Did you know that up until just recently, the racial divide of Mardi Gras was in place? It wasn't until 1992, after a heated debate in the New Orleans City Council, that an ordinance was passed that these clubs, these exclusive clubs, were outlawed. You could not discriminate on race, gender, sex, religion, or national origin. And that just happened in 1992. Did you know Mardi Gras has only been canceled a few times? It was canceled a couple of times during World War I, World War II, during the Civil War. Again with the yellow fever outbreak in 1870. And the last time it was completely called off was at the end of World War II in 1945. Do you know that even a scaled-down version of Mardi Gras occurred in 2006, right after Hurricane Katrina came through, just a few months before? 1,800 people died, but they still had a scaled-down version of Mardi Gras.
You know, I never knew that. Thank you, Deacon John.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Deacon John. Let's get right into the news. Yesterday, Father Pilsner began the Lenten season a little early with a palm burning ceremony in our courtyard. The event was carried live on our CS1 channel, and if you missed it, you can still see how the ashes we receive on Ash Wednesday are made.
Today is the last day to submit your poems and short stories for a special Black History Month edition of Visions, the school's literary magazine. You can send your submissions for consideration, poems, photos, artworks, and short stories to Mr. Quintana at artquintana@cardinalspellman.org.
Today is also the last day that the Service Society is accepting submissions of articles of clothing for the Owsling Irish Community Center. Please see Ms. Cullen for more information.
If you missed your chance to audition for yesterday's game show called The 100, you have one more chance today after school. The online test will be given in room 232.
Last week, 24 students entered the Little Theater to compete in the annual Movie Monolog competition. The winner was junior Meadow D'Erasmo. Here's a look at her winning performance.
This morning, a bird woke me up. It was a lark or a peacock, something like that. And I said hello. And it vanished. It flew away the moment I said hello. It was quite mysterious. So you know what I did? I went to my mirror and brushed my hair 200 times without stopping. And then my hair turned mauve. No, honestly, mauve. And then red. Then some sort of deep blue, and some hit. I'm 16 years old, and every day something happens to me. I don't know what to make of it. When I get up in the morning and get dressed, I can tell something's different. I like to touch my eyelids because they're never quite the same. Oh, I hug myself till my arms turn blue. I close my eyes and cry till the tears come down and I can taste them. I love to taste my tears. I am special. I am special. Please, God, please, don't let me be normal.
Editors later in the show. Stephanie Brown has your look at sports as well as a look into Spelman's newest competitive team.
Hey pilots, it's your sports analyst Stephanie Brown, and I'm back with this week's Pilot Sports. Since the last time, our boys varsity basketball team had a rough patch in their season, taking a series of difficult losses. In the most recent game versus All Hallows, Mario Pierulli had 19 points, Alexander Vega Santini had 12, Robert Borey had 11, Alfred Alcade had 4, and Jason Vitale had 2. The girls' varsity team also took a tough loss against St. Joe by the Sea. Brianna Davis, however, had 23 points, Jada Walker had 11, Dion Dusage had 3, and Shania Elliott and Maya Guerrero with 2. Brianna Davis also led with 12 rebounds, and Emily Gonzalez followed with 9. The girls' next game is this Saturday versus St. John Baptiste at home. Congratulations to the freshman basketball team for ending their season on a high note versus St. Joe by the Sea 46-40. Ladum Barima scored 23 points and 14 rebounds. They end their season with a 3-game win streak and will move on to playoffs next week versus Elysian. Congratulations to the track team for running extremely well this weekend in an NYCHSAA championship meet. Just after News 12 highlighted our swim team, I got the opportunity to head on over to the Y and see what it's all about. That's all for this week's Pilot Sports. As always, you can catch the action live by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Cardinals Bum and Bronx. As always, fly high, pilots.
As we mentioned earlier, the movie monologue competition was held last week. Natalie and Marilyn got a chance to speak with some of those who competed.
Hey, I'm Marilyn Tran.
And I'm Nat.
And we're here interviewing the winners of the drama monologue contest. So,
Hi, I'm Nico. I scored 3rd place.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and I scored 2nd place in People's Choice Award.
Hi, I'm Meadow, and I got 1st place.
all right, so what is the process that you had for trying out the monologue competition?
I'll start, I guess. The main thing that got in my way was just about like time availability, but I still tried to make an effort every single time I could go, and I even practiced at home most days, just really focusing on my line delivery and what I was going to be doing while saying every line. So I went line by line, just meticulously planning what I was going to say and what I was going to do while saying it. And I recorded myself a few times, just really trying to work through it.
So the thing with this monologue is that I've known it for a while. Never performed it, I just knew of its existence, and so I knew of the progression of it, and I just knew a lot of weird things happened during it, and so I just kept that in mind, especially when it came to expression and voice. That's mainly how I practiced when it came to vocal expression, because that's kind of where my main focal point was. And yeah, I just kind of the more I practiced, the more I began to memorize it. I never really sat down and looked at it. I was like, let me memorize it. It just kind of came naturally. And yeah, I went as much as I could. I went multiple times a week. I'd go as much as I can because I loved it so much.
For me, I went through the process of changing my monologue a couple times, to which I landed on the monologue I performed. And my process by which I remembered it was really just feeling the emotions of the character itself and how they presented themselves. I would go over the actual scenes in which they were performing the monologue themselves, and Viola Davis, she even improvised certain lines just to showcase how strong the emotions of the character was. And I kind of focused more so on the character and being that character, because when you're on stage, you're no longer the person that you are just performing it, you are that character.
Why did you choose your monologue?
Well, I chose my monologue because, I've always been in love with the musical Hamilton. I've been a really big fan since 6th grade, and so when I saw it in the packet, I knew that I just had to do it. I'm in love with the musical. What else is there to say?
Okay, so it's a little bit of a story here. It's basically, so I was down between 2 monologues, and I went to Smith a lot with both of them. One was about this girl who had to study for a test, and she had a bunch of coffee and a bunch of these things, and she's speaking faster and faster throughout the whole thing, until suddenly she's like, oh, do you like myself? And then I had this one, and I kind of was drawn to the one from the Fantastics, the one I ended up choosing, because I really love the idea of this ordinary girl trying so hard to be this extraordinary person she knows she's not. And I kind of leaned toward it, but then I finally asked Smith to make the final decision, and he was like, you just got to do that one. It's just perfect. And I was like, and so I just kind of went with it.
For me, again, I did go through various monologues, and I landed with this one, but originally I was doing a monologue about Afro-Latina young girl who kind of talks about the struggles of not being able to converse with her grandmother because she's not proficient in Spanish, and I relate to that. But I ended up switching to doing the fences scene where Viola Davis kind of confronts Troy about her husband's affair when he tells her that this affair has now caused him to have another child. I felt very inclined to do this one because I had performed it off, just on the off chance. It was a spontaneous thing that I just performed it in front of the club, and everyone stared at me and awe, and I was just like, this is the one. This is a character I can become. Emotionally, I became invested in the character because it's just, it's such an impactful scene. A woman describing to her, like someone who's supposed to be her counterpart, like how betrayed she feels by them, and I feel that is very, it was very emotional, and I felt very sensitive to it.
Alright. So how did you feel the day of the contest?
The day of the contest, I felt so ready, but also like I had miles more to go in terms of like my work. I felt like I hadn't done enough prep and I hadn't like been enough. Even though at that point I was practicing for hours every day, I still felt like I could have done more. But the second I stood up on the stage, like all of that fear just washed away, and I was able to really focus in on like what I truly believed like I could do.
When it came to me, I had a really bad day. And it wasn't because of like the monologue or anything. I just had a really bad day. I had a lot of stuff going on. It was just a lot for me. And after school, and like you can even see this, that like if they ever posted, but I even come in late. I come in late for the monologue, and I was so out of it. But I kind of like when I sat down, I put myself down, I was kind of getting ready. I kind of felt at ease, but I did have this fear because this monologue came so naturally to me. I didn't really, like every time I'd say it, my emotions would come off differently. Like I'd go with my friend Makayla every time, and she'd be like, oh, this time it came off a little more crazy or more desperate. And so I was so nervous, like, oh, I had this horrible day. How is this monologue going to come out this time? And I guess that maybe worked in my favor, and it had more emotion to it. But yeah, that's what happened to me.
For me, the day of the monologue, I can't say I felt nervous about it. I'm very confident in when I practice like something. I was very active in the club, and I care about this club a lot, monologue itself. So for me, I was just ready, and I was ready to perform it in a crowd. I didn't view it as I'm going to mess up, I'm going to make mistakes. I kind of viewed it as this is my time to show that this is the kind of person I am. I can show off the raw emotion of this character that I feel so, I feel so connected with on, like, I guess, a spiritual level. And for me, that was something that really made it a lot easier to do this monologue. And the day of, I won't say I wasn't, like, nervous at all. I did have some butterflies in my stomach before I went on stage. And I did have to perform too. And I memorized both monologues. So I was nervous about the first one, but the second one I was really good at. So I just wanted to deliver those monologues to the best of my ability.
Isabella Gonzalez wraps things up here with our weekend weather forecast. Can we please pick a weather type and stick with it for a day or two? It's like spring one day, then it's freezing the next.
Good morning, pilots. Will this weekend be a good start to our midwinter break? I've got all your answers right here. Today we will be seeing the clouds moving out, and we will be seeing partly cloudy skies with a high of 63. This is making me think that spring will be coming sooner rather than later. Saturday, temperatures lower as we see partly cloudy skies with a high of 40 degrees. Be sure to watch out for those wind gusts. Sunday, our days will be brightened with sunny skies and a high of 36 degrees. That's all I got for you now, pilots. Be safe and enjoy your break. Back to you, Makayla and Jayme.
Thanks, Izzy. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Morning Flight. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page so that you're alerted when new episodes premiere on Friday mornings at 8 a.m.
Plus, keep up with all sporting and special events here at Spelman. You don't want to miss it.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode of Morning Flight, our 50th episode. Can you believe that? And actually, we just want to send out a special happy birthday to today's floor director and our very own sportscaster, Stephanie Brown. Happy birthday, Stephanie!
Enjoy your week off, pilots. Until then, I'm Jayme-Madison Reddick.
And I'm Makayla Fredericks. Fly high, pilots.
Finish.